What's up, guys? Welcome to the Kickback Project. My name is Gabe.
Hey y'all, it's Bradley.
What's up, y'all? It's JaVon.
Welcome.
JaVon's here. And this is episode 9 of the Kickback Project entitled Dreams to Nightmares. We are talking today about the figure that still affects our lives today, Martin Luther King Jr. And there you go. Clap it up. Clap it up. And we're just going to have a discussion about kind of the dream that Martin Luther King had, in the civil rights movement, how it affects us today, and kind of the things that we see. And I guess, Bradley, we'll throw it to you. What are the biggest parts of Martin Luther King Jr.'s vision that you kind of attach onto?
So I think mainly because we focus a lot of our efforts on working with kids, especially kids in urban areas. One of the biggest aspects of Martin Luther King's dream that I personally care about is his realization that it's important for us to do the work that we do now so that our kids will all be equal in the future.
Yeah.
We see it so much, the service that's done to kids in lower income areas, which host a lot of our marginalized communities. So it's important that the work that we're doing now benefits them in the future so that they are afforded the same opportunities that people in more affluent communities are provided.
Yeah.
I think that's always been, I always knew that we were still going to be fighting, but I'm hoping that we do enough fighting so that kids in the future can be valued as equal and matter together,
Yeah.
Fight for kids.
Yeah, especially, and well, that's the thing about it. It's active. Like, it's a fight. Like, I know so many people, when they talk about, the civil rights movement, they talk about these amazing events, and they're like, oh, man, that was so great that he did that. It's like, it's not over. It's really not over, and it's every day, and you just need to be there, and you need to choose, to fight for it.
Right.
And especially in fields of work, like actual fields of work where you do that kind of uplifting, it's crazy to just like what you have to do to make it happen, essentially.
Yeah, it's definitely an everyday fight. It's just another chapter in this book that just never seems to end. Like a Lord of the Rings book.
But we want it to end. Like, we want,
I mean, yeah.
We want the. I mean, and I think it's so funny that you touched and said that like people talk about Martin Luther King specifically in a historic way, and don't realize that we have yet to actualize the dream that like he preached.
Yeah.
And so it's funny, especially a lot of people who are like performance activists who only come around and say like, hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do it. Like those type of people who like talk about Martin Luther King and his actions like that's it.
Yeah.
That's where it ended. There's nothing to be changed.
Just a good Facebook post.
Yeah, so I think it's important that we recognize that the work that MLK did, he just started it. He didn't do it all. He started a movement. Yeah. And it's up to us, like you said, in actual professions, in actual in your careers, in your community work, in your everyday lives. How are you actualizing this dream? How are you creating equality between all races and all different marginalized groups? What are you doing to add to the dream?
Yeah.
Well, for starters, I'm friends with Gabe, so
you want to talk about a fight? Really hard.
Are you guys
there.
fighting for equality, or are you fighting each other? What's the truth?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I think that you can attach so many things that he said and so many things that he did to things today, and I think you could just take. I mean, the reason that he's quoted so much is because the things he was saying like really matter, and like I feel sometimes bad when people take the quote and they like put it on its own though, because like he is very quotable. I mean, he was a gifted speaker, like he was a pastor and he was giving sermons out there, but you take a quote he was giving sermons you're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. No, but some people don't know that. Okay, some people don't know that.
You're
but
not wrong.
But if you separate the words from the life he was living, the things he was doing, that you end up in a situation where you kind of misrepresent it, basically. Like, I think about like when I see like a politician post on Martin Luther King Day, always always on the day, they post like a picture with a quote, and they're like, wow, I wish we had that today. And it's like, well, dude, you're not a good politician. You're actually not helping people, but you just posted that. Like,
because it makes you look good on that day.
It does. Yeah. And you want to be cool, or you want to fit into like this trend, but it's like, what are you actually doing in your life besides in January that
I think I totally agree with you on how like Martin Luther King is like misquoted, like how like people use the Bible to their advantage when they want to throw up like a Bible verse. I always think it's funny that people use for instance, because we brought it up, the hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. And they seem to use that quote not when they're talking about race, which was like, if you know, that quote was utilized in saying that like we can't fight violence with violence, we can't hate white people because they hate us. You know, we have to love each other to be that community. We have to give love to each other in order to actualize this idea that we can all be equal one day. But people use that, and they're like, they use it in like instances like the Apple versus Android battle. They're like and Android users are like, hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do. You're like, that's not what Martin Luther King meant. But like, that's when people pull out these MLK quotes and they're like, you know, MLK said it, so it's obviously, but that has nothing to do with what he stood for, what he believed in.
Or like, I think that quote brings up to me like one of the greatest crimes is when they say, yeah, you know, you can't use hate to drive out hate. It's like, oftentimes the person saying that, it's convenient for you to be like complacent.
Right.
You know, it's in their favor for you to just be loving. But it's like, love kind of bites sometimes when it really wants to get something done. So it's like, okay, you're using this bland quote, but in reality, you're the person that we would be fighting against, basically.
Well, that's always the biggest thing with quotes or like scriptures or something, is that people always use the part that makes them look better or seem right, but never like the full thing.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's always like, oh, you know, Jesus did this, and it's not like, why did he do it? Like, say the rest of that scripture, not just the first 3 words.
Yeah.
And it's just always like people put out these quotes to make them seem good, but like, what did that quote mean? Like, what did Martin Luther King mean when he said that? Because I'm pretty sure that's not what you're doing.
But I definitely think that there are people out there who are utilizing MLK's message and how he fought, the way that he fought for equality. I mean, the man was an incredibly peaceful man who believed in peace and love being the bond between us. And I think that we have such a more open, and don't get me wrong, like there are issues, but we have such a more open community that is willing to change and to adapt to see that equality take place. You know, like we are further than where we were. And so I'm thankful that I'm allowed to be in a community where I even have the opportunity to fight. And do it in a way that isn't violent, and to do it in a way that is very progressive and for the benefit of the people that I represent. So I get to work with Black kids in a way that is beneficial for them to succeed, and to help them kind of boost their concept of themselves in today's society without having to actually legitimately fight and be out in the streets. You know, like that's important to me, that we have come a long way.
Yeah. I always felt like growing up I was more of a Malcolm X. No dirt on his name. I love Malcolm X. But, you know, I was always more of a fighter for what I believed in, and like willing to do whatever I had to do to get that point across. And the more I've grown up, the more I feel like I'm closer to a Martin Luther King. Like I feel like when you go out and you fight and you do these things for your cause, you're actually doing what they already depict you as. Like they already see us as these violent people or these people who do whatever. And so when you do that, even though you're doing it for a noble cause, they're like, he's exactly what we said he was, you know? And so I feel like the whole peaceful protest is just like such a big stance. Like just not fighting back is like the opposite of what they expect. And like you said, things have changed so much, you know, because of Martin Luther King and people like him. You know, we got themed restaurants and stuff, peace, love, and little donuts. No, I'm joking.
Oh my God.
But you know,
because I was really sitting here like, there's that MLK.
The MLK grill.
No, but you know, I think the word equality means so much to me, and it's just crazy that like people speak on equality and try to say, oh, you know, things are much better, but like we still face like such similar things. Like he believed in redemption and like giving people, you know, another chance and all these things, but like people come out of jail and are treated like they're still in jail, right? They don't necessarily get the opportunity to come out of jail and start a new life. They're treated the same way. You know, we make mistakes in our past and, you know, there's no redemption or anything like that. We are treated like horrible people or because of where we come from. And sometimes it's just hard to be the people out here preaching for equality and fighting for equality because it doesn't even make sense to me. Like how much they had to go through. And it wasn't like they were fighting for we're better. Literally, we're just fighting to be equal.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make sense. I've never seen people get so mad at, no, you can't be the same.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, it was just like, it's just such a powerful thing to think about. And it definitely echoes into our lives today. So I guess the question I had for you guys specifically, and I don't have to answer this, but like what was passed on about Martin Luther King Jr. to you guys generationally? Like what were the things that you were told as kids? Like I'm interested. Like,
so I think the most important thing that was passed down to me was the concept of allyship, which you hear the word ally come up in a lot of different causes. You often don't hear it used within the same community. So like how for instance, when people talk about like the LGBTQ community,
it's a lot of letters.
Yeah, I always get it mixed up and I am so sorry. Oftentimes an ally is a straight person, so not within the community, just an ally of the community. But I think one of the things that was passed down to me was an ally within the Black community is Black people often have movements on their own. They have business deals going on. They have entrepreneurship opportunities. They have movements and things that they want to stand up for, and you as a Black person in their community have to be an ally to their success. Oftentimes Martin Luther King would stand up next to people who were protesting in a bunch of different ways, as long as they were doing it non-violently. He stood behind people who are behind some of the most important movements in our future, in our past. For instance, Rosa Parks. We all know what Rosa Parks did, and Martin Luther King supported her publicly and openly in what she did because it was powerful how she did it. So I think that concept of you're doing this, you have this venture that you're going after. I'm going to stand by you. I'm going to support you. There's an injustice you believe in. There's something that you don't think is right. I'm going to be your ally in that. I'm going to fight for that cause with you because, you know, there is power in a follower of somebody in your movement. And I think Martin Luther King was a prime example of that. And to me, that was something that mattered to me, and that's how I treat other people within my community. Because like JaVon said, the fight looks different now. It's no longer a violent fight. It's all going to be how can you bring the protest in different ways. And I think allyship is like one of the best ways.
Yeah. For me, I would just say love. You know, I was always taught that love is the way. And I think that that's what Martin Luther King stood for. And so in that, it's trying to come at the cause without hate. Like Martin Luther King was, you know, beat and treated wrong and all types of stuff. But he wasn't like hateful. Like he didn't hate the people that did it. If anything, like he loved them harder. He came back, did the same thing. And I think that that's the kind of love that changes the world, right? And so, you know, I think that it's not about like, I hate white people, they're holding us down. No, like love them, like love on them, because look, I don't care what you say. You can fight people. I've seen people fight and become friends the next day. I've seen people fight and shake hands right after the fight. Fighting people,
5-year-olds.
No, these are grown-ups. Listen, it's disrespect. Like I respect those hands.
I think the 5-year-olds should shake hands after like, well fought, sir.
But like fighting is a way that you think you can get things done. But love is just like so much stronger and different. Like if I fought you, you'd be mad at me. But you know what would make you even more mad? If you just kept coming at me with all this hate and I just loved you for no reason. Like I'd be pissed. I'd be like, dude, be mad at me. Like just stop. But like, and I think that's just what it's about. Like, keep coming back with love, no matter what they throw at you. Love, you know, that's why I'm friends with Gabe and Chris, you know.
Yeah.
I love white people.
Thanks, JaVon.
Not all of them, but you know,
Yeah,
I think that's what it's about.
well, thanks, guys. Yeah, thanks for sharing. I just was, I think that there's a lot to talk about here, and as we get into our next segment, we're gonna dive deeper into this topic and maybe talk about what we see in the world today. So stick around. We'll be right back. All right, and we are back talking about Dreams to Nightmares episode, whatever episode it is, I already forgot.
I do just want to clarify, the song is called Dreams and Nightmares.
Oh.
So if you're going to appropriate my culture,
No one
the
transitions
least you
from
can
dreams to nightmares, Gabe.
Dreams and nightmares next to each other. No one has both at the same
Dreams
time.
and Nightmares and Tim Burton.
Okay, off topic.
The Freddy Krueger prequel.
Okay. So we're talking about Martin Luther King Jr., a figure from history, and we want to test our abilities today.
A figure from history.
A figure from history.
What is this?
Well,
Welcome to the History Channel with Kickback.
Bradley has prepared a challenge. We all know we're also academic. Bradley's going to ask us a question on a trivia site, and then we're going to try to answer it. And the theme is Martin Luther King Jr. So
Got a couple questions, right?
Yeah,
a few
got a
questions.
couple, a few.
Okay. All right. Bradley?
The first one, we're starting off strong. The first question is, in what year was Martin Luther King Jr. assassinated? All right, here are your options. A, 1964, B, 1968, C, 1972, or D, 1980.
Ding, 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 ding. I hope I'm not wrong, but I want to say 68.
Okay, 68.
68.
You're going in, you're locking that in.
I think I'm not wrong, but we'll see. I'm old, so.
What was it? 71 was the next option?
72.
Oh. 68 seems early. 68 sounds early to me.
Too early to die, Gabe.
Okay, it was always too early, man. But, all right, I'm going to say 72. I'm locking in 72. Bradley, what's your guess?
Bradley better not be looking at the answers.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm going to go with 68.
Ooh, okay.
It's a safe bet.
All right. What's the answer?
The answer was 1968.
Oh, all right.
Hey.
I'll keep score.
The only reason why I know this is because I feel like my mom told me that Martin Luther King died the same day that she was born, and she was born in 68.
That's exactly the reason I remember.
Okay, all right, okay.
It's sad that that's what I equate to my mom's
These
birthday.
better not
but-
all be dates because I do not know dates, but it's fine. So
Guess
you
what?
guys have 1 point and I have 0. How fitting.
Yeah, you're horrible.
All right, our next question is, when did Dr. King win? Oh. When Dr. King won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964, he was the youngest man to receive the award. How old was he?
Ooh.
Your options are 25, 29, 35, and 42.
35. That's my guess.
I feel like that would be my guess too, but I don't want to. Gabe's on a losing streak. I'm gonna say 29.
You got to be youngest guy.
I mean, he graduated college at what? 16.
I have no idea. I hope that's not the next question.
You must really know your MLK trivia because I have no idea.
know.
That's what
So I'm
Some
going to
of
go
us
with
are woke.
35.
35.
I'm gonna go with
That feels
35.
right. That feels right. I mean, I feel like that's still young to
The
win the
answer
award.
was 35. Oh my gosh, could you imagine winning a Nobel Peace Prize
no.
at 35?
Oh my gosh,
Bradley's
could I
in the
imagine
lead.
winning a Nobel Peace Prize? You could have just
Correct.
stopped there.
I
All right.
see what you're saying.
All right, Bradley has 2 points, JaVon has 1, and I have 1.
I am on the same level as Gabe.
I know our listeners are probably like, Bradley is cheating.
Let
funny,
the
the guy
listeners
that's
know
running
Bradley
the
has
trivia-
the questions.
Yeah, that's interesting that the guy running the trivia show is winning. That's
I
crazy.
legit can't see the answers. All right. Which U.S. president approved the creation of a national holiday celebrating Martin Luther King Jr.? Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, or Ronald Reagan?
Let me check Wikipedia real quick.
Wait, can you say those again?
Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, or Ronald Reagan?
I legit know nothing about at least two
I
of
don't
those
think it's
presidents.
Ronald Reagan.
He's horrible.
I don't think it's Gerald Ford either. I want to say Jimmy Carter. That's my guess. Is Jimmy
What was the
Carter.
third? Oh, Bill Clinton. That's too
Definitely.
young.
Yeah.
Too late.
But like, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter what their policies were because he's like the kind of guy like everyone would be happy you made a day.
you know
about
what?
it.
I'm
No
gonna
one
say.
would have a
I'm gonna say
problem.
Reagan.
All right. What's your guess, Bradley?
I'm also going to go with... Did you say Jimmy Carter?
Yeah, I said Jimmy Carter.
I'm going to go Jimmy Carter, but I think I'm wrong.
This is
Reagan
I
had to
have
do
no idea.
something right.
Oh
right?
my God. It was Ronald Reagan.
Let's go.
JaVon has tied it up.
I mean, the dude was president. Like he had to do more than Watergate.
Okay, they were all presidents.
But I'm saying, like, when you think of Reagan, all you think about is Watergate.
No, that wasn't Reagan. That was Nixon.
Oh, that's Nixon? Oh, wait, Reagan's the super old dude. Oh,
they're all old.
No. But when I think of Reagan, he just looks like somebody's granddad.
You know, when I think of Nixon,
there are like
look, I don't know politics.
There are two things I know about like presidential history. Nixon and the Watergate scandal is like
I thought it was Reagan. But in my mind, I had Nixon's face the whole time.
You know what he looks like?
Yes.
Yeah, everyone knows it. He's on Futurama.
Yeah.
All right. It's tied. JaVon and Bradley are tied. I have 1 point.
Okay.
Is this be the tiebreaker? Final question.
And hopefully. All right. Oh, Mal. How tall is the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Stone of Hope on the National Mall?
That's not a question about Martin Luther King.
I have no idea.
Can we do this one real fast and then do the next one?
It's about the Stone of Hope.
Well,
15 feet.
One of the Infinity Stones.
Feet. I don't remember this one in the movie. This is how they defeat Thanos.
This is the one that brings Wakanda back.
With the Stone of Hope. That's so good.
There you go.
Wow, we rewrote Infinity Endgame. What is the movie called?
Infinity Endgame. It's always Infinity. Infinity tickets sold. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Is it 15 feet, 26 feet, 30 feet, 45 feet?
Oh, wow. I was waiting for you to say 50.
If it's 45 feet, I feel like we would know. That's big. You know?
Well,
like,
yeah.
Does it stand straight
They're
up?
all big.
Does it stand straight up or is it in the ground?
Is a memorial stone gate.
Is it like a gravestone? Like the Washington Monument? Like is it like a stone like in the ground or is it standing up?
I've never been.
I'm gonna go with the.
You guys don't know
the third option. I think it was 30 something.
30.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
Oh wait, what's the first two?
15 and 26.
26.
Yeah, 26 is so specific.
You can only get that by measuring it.
Yeah.
I'm going with 15. It was 30 feet.
Oh my goodness. JaVon wins 3 points.
You're woke.
Wow.
Except I don't know who Ronald Reagan is.
Yeah, don't.
Iconic.
No other president facts are available, but JaVon is the winner. JaVon, your reward, Bradley, what's he going to get for winning today?
You have your official VIP membership woke card. You can pull it in any argument.
We got to play again. I need that. Yeah, it's called This Podcast. All right. Well, thanks for playing, guys. Thanks for running the trivia game, Bradley. We're going to go take a break and we'll be back for our final segment. And welcome back to the Kickback Project. We are wrapping up this episode, and I wanted to get these guys' final takes on today's topic. So I invite you guys to look back at it, and the question today is, what can you do today to play your part in Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream? Bradley, you can go first.
Always I feel attacked. No, I think that it's very important to hold each other accountable. If we have this shared dream that we all want to achieve, then we need to make sure that we're holding our neighbors, regardless of what they look like, regardless of who they are, accountable for their actions. I just want to read a quick quote from Martin Luther King from his book, Where Do We Go From Here? I think it's just important to hear a different quote that is not, hate cannot drive out hate.
Yeah, perfect.
He said, white Americans must recognize that justice for Black people cannot be achieved without radical changes in the structure of our society. The comfortable, entrenched, the privileged cannot continue to tremble at the prospect of change of the status quo. This is a multiracial nation where all groups are dependent on each other. There is no separate white path to power and fulfillment, short of social disaster, that does not share power with Black aspirations for freedom and human dignity. And so I think it's important that we recognize that Martin Luther King didn't just want equality for all, he wanted us to work for it together. So, yeah,
awesome.
That's what I'm...
Thanks. JaVon?
Yeah, I left my books at home, so I don't have any quotes. I'm sorry. But I think I think that it's just being Black and being proud, being united, and like Bradley said, working towards that dream, right? Anything worth having is worth working for. And, the dream's still alive. And I don't think that it's something that we should stop dreaming about till we get it. So let's be united. Let's be loving. But most importantly, love that you're Black. Be proud of it. And it means something. And, don't stand down from that.
Yeah, thanks. If I'm going to look back at it, the thing that I want to say, just as a final thought, is to think deeply about the context of the civil rights movement and why your favorite quote from Martin Luther King, why he said that, and apply it to your life. So I especially say that to people like myself that are part of the majority culture. Think about this in more than just a feel-good way. Think about this in more than just a history way. Think about what you can do to make that quote a reality, because he was living that life. Like, he backed that up.
He was about that life.
He was about that life. Exactly. I wasn't gonna say that, but it felt inappropriate. He had the integrity to say things and follow up on them. So do that. So if you want to be the loving force in the world and you want to help people, follow through and do it. And you'll make the world a better place. All right. Cool.
Everybody listening is like, oh, that's why they have Gabe on here.
I was wondering why they did.
Redemption. Good job, Gabe.
Thank you. So thank you guys for sharing your answers. What are you guys bringing to the kickback?
Good old kickback.
And trivia champion JaVon, you can go first.
As the champ,
as the resident Watergate historian,
I am bringing the Apple wireless AirPods to the kickback.
He rich
for you peasants. If you don't have a pair, you're poor. I'm joking. I don't have a pair.
I was about to say, all these broke people in this room. Like,
I am bringing them because they have been all over. Social media is just laughing at us poor people.
Yeah.
But really, I'm bringing it because I don't think they're cool.
They've been out for forever.
Yeah, and when they first announced them, my first thought was, that's stupid.
Yeah.
It looks dumb. But now I guess I don't know what happened.
They're
Maybe
adapted in the meme culture.
Some rap reward or something. I don't know. And now they're just popular, right? You can't go on Instagram without seeing them. Mm-hmm. Even rappers are like, "Oh, I got my pair. You should have been had them. You have money."
Yeah.
Listen. I knew this was an issue when I was in class and one of my students were talking about. She was like, "It was so cute. I was at the gym. There was this couple. They were sharing a pair of AirPods so that they can work out to the same music together." And this boy said, "Man, they're broke. They can't afford their own AirPods." I was like, what's the reason? What was the reason?
I just don't get it. Like, they look like someone just pulled the cords out of regular
They do.
iPhone headphones,
Which didn't look bad to begin with, honestly. I think about the real headphones with the cord. I know it's crazy, but they were that was an iconic Apple look. Now the cord's gone.
I just think people look dumb when they're walking around with them.
I
think
hate
they're stupid.
Apple headphones to begin with because they don't fit in my ears. I have small
I thought you were
ears.
gonna say because you have an Android. But,
wow!
Wow!
Oh my god!
But I agree.
But they're specifically shaped for people with regular ears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have small ears, they will fall out, which is I'm surprised they don't fall out.
Lose them. Yeah.
Yeah, the AirPods,
Will Smith
people
can't
aren't.
have a pair. People like that.
Yeah, they'll get lost.
Yeah. I just don't get it.
They'll get lost.
I can't wait for what's
so
next. When Apple Beats drops the new beats that don't have the part to go on top of your head, you're just gonna put 2 earmuffs on or something. This is all just dumb to me.
Product design, new innovative.
Yeah,
product.
that comes out. I want money.
Yeah.
I won't get them, but I want money.
Now. Yeah. All right. Thanks, JaVon. Bradley, what are you bringing to the kickback?
Where were you when the iconic Breakfast Club interview dropped with, shall we say, the king of music, Soulja Boy? Tell him. He was interviewed by the Breakfast Club after he had released his tweet about how he had the bigger comeback than Tyga, which, as an argument in itself, is not true, but it did propel him into this frenzy about how he literally put on almost everybody in music.
Yeah, your favorite artist, Soulja Boy, created them. They stole his flow and then didn't credit.
Didn't have the biggest comeback in 2018, but probably had the biggest one in 2019.
Yeah, he started off strong. And I mean, when you talk about marketing and like genius marketing, way to tweet something dumb so that you get free exposure.
True.
Because you just put yourself back in the spotlight. And then if you notice, because he did that, then he name dropped every project that he was working on. His console, his watch, any new music, his YouTube channel.
It's genius.
He literally got free exposure for all these things from tweeting one dumb thing.
Yeah.
So don't you dare sit up in here and try and tell me that Soulja Boy is dumb. Because he did that.
His marketing team is on point.
I'm literally scrolling on Twitter and he quote tweets Ariana Grande and says, "You stole my flow." I was like, Ariana Grande. I was like,
and now
what?
That's like you're calling out big name people.
Oh yeah,
big name.
And this getting play, and it's like
Drake.
And the crazy thing is, like to quote New Future, it's crazy, but it's true.
Period.
Like people, I mean, when he called out Drake, I'm like, what is Soulja Boy talking about now? And then I listen, I'm like, oh my God.
I'm surprised nobody's made that connection before because we been knew that. Like that song came out in like 2010, 2011.
But I never cared. Like I never was a Soulja Boy fan. And I thought that a lot of his, like when I used to first listen to him, like back in 2006, when his stuff was on LimeWire, like I thought it was all jokes. And then like the next year, Soulja Boy blew up.
Yeah.
And like it's hard to talk a lot of stuff on him because these people who are like these SoundCloud internet rappers, like Soulja Boy was he was one of the first.
He was the blueprint for y'all to be.
So like it's hard to say like, oh, he didn't start this, because he did.
Yeah.
And I mean, he is making money. The man has writing credits on Beyonce's Lemonade because she used a verse from his song and he got paid.
Oh,
paid.
That's crazy.
Money.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of AirPods, Soulja Pods are a product that Soulja Boy is making.
Oh my gosh, he's out here.
He has a Soulja watch.
Soulja Watch.
He's
Soulja
really out here.
Soulja game console, so you can play.
And
that.
I just want y'all to know, this is perfect timing. Look, this would not have blown up if 6ix9ine was out right now. Because he's always all over the place. But the fact that 6ix9ine is gone, someone had to replace that.
Hold on. Because one of the things that Soulja Boy said in the interview was that he was doing everything that 6ix9ine was doing long before 6ix9ine was doing it. And I agree. He been out there beefing with everybody, on everybody's social media, trolling. He was doing all that before 6ix9ine even existed.
And I'm not saying that that's not true. But what I am saying is that 6ix9ine is that person to do that right now.
Oh, like they look to someone.
So the fact that 6ix9ine can't make any noise was perfect time for Soulja Boy to make all the noise.
Yeah,
he's a genius. He's a genius.
Good for him.
So
Good for him.
That's what I'm bringing.
Wow,
to
amazing.
Drake.
The memes. He brought us a lot of good memes in 2019 already. So,
well, speaking of powerful figures in today's society,
just shut up. Whatever you're gonna say, don't say it. Like.
Can I bring something to Kickback?
You can.
I need to bring Cardi B's Instagram video lamenting, condemning, and giving practical steps.
Our country's in a hellhole, y'all.
She's giving practical steps about how to view politics today. She posted an Instagram video. It's like 38 seconds long, I think, something like that, about the government shutdown, and she goes on a rant. And I was here for it. I was like, you know what, Cardi, go off, because that's true.
Go off, sis.
That's true. Like, this is the truth. And everyone's like, all the people that watch it, they're like, oh, she is who she is. You know, she has the background that she has, and she speaks her mind. So people don't like that. She actually, in that video, gave a practical way to view politics, and it was awesome. Like, I was just really happy that she made that video. It just meant so much.
Our podcast is PG, so we can't say quote by quote what was said.
I wish we could. I want to put it on a whiteboard and just walk
you through exactly what was said. But because Cardi B is like our resident hood rat, you know, like she is who has taken like the ghetto ratchet culture and made it Grammy Award winning, right? Like she did that. So she was able to speak on politics from a perspective where a lot of people who aren't into politics could relate from.
Yep.
And she also spit facts. She was like, you know, and she tweeted about it. She was like, oftentimes people are saying that I don't know much about politics, but all it takes is a Google search and you can know just as much as I know. She was like, you guys are on Instagram. There are news reports that are happening on Instagram. There are news reports that are happening on Twitter. She said, all I did was read and listen.
I love when people do their research.
So she was like, these are just the facts. We've been in a government shutdown for over 3 weeks. People are not getting paid, and now they're being forced to go back to work without getting paid, and that's not okay. And she said she's scared, and I agree.
Yeah.
These are just the facts.
Cardi 2020.
I mean, maybe that's what it's gonna take.
I just want all the overhead announcements at airports to just be Cardi's voice when you're going through TSA.
Go to gate D. This flight is delayed. Okay.
It's the next step.
It really is. I think she's just the future. But you can look at her. You can look at her Instagram. You can think whatever you want about her. Never say she's not authentic, because her Instagram videos at 3 a.m. where she's just eating some cheese or something is like my favorite content on the internet. Like, it's amazing.
We love it.
Yeah, we'll talk about while Gabe is watching Cardi at 3 a.m. next episode.
I'm just just researching.
Just look it up on Google. It's all there.
I'm politically minded, so I'm following a commentator. All right, guys. Well, thank you for kicking it with us today. We'll catch you next time.
Well, bye.